Welcome everyone. We're here to talk about 1 million minutes. This is the internal launch for us. So what we're going to discuss today is we're going to go over the campaign overview. We are 4 years into this campaign. So for some of you, you may know that, but there's likely to be lots of new people as well that are new to the campaign. So we'll give that overview. We'll go through this year's volunteer roles. And we want to help you shape one of the roles this year, a new role called the Home Start Hour. So I will get to that as we go through. We're going to look at the process for this year, and then we'll have our Q&A with Home Start Glasgow. And at the very end, we'll just touch on the new resource pack that we are launching as part of this year's campaign to help you locally to amplify and make the most out of the opportunity that 1 million minutes. It's for all of us. Okay, so overview. As I mentioned, this is our 4th year taking part. Across the 4 years, we've had 4,786 pledges from across the nations. It is our biggest volunteer attraction campaign currently, and it is a really big opportunity to be in people's living rooms every single morning across December, as the campaign runs from the 1st to the 31st of December. But we do find actually in the 2 weeks of January, quite a lot of people that may have seen it then get in contact. They usually come directly into our national kind of volunteer application way, or also sometimes we see a spike locally. There are 6 charities taking part this year, so we're one of those 6. We will share the names of the charities in the news item next week, once we have them confirmed from ITV. We have 4 volunteer roles this year, which works perfectly for us. And just to touch again, this is an attraction campaign and brand awareness campaign. The hope is that we get some volunteers through it, but mostly it is about building up and getting our story out there and building our community of volunteers around each Home Start in whatever way that looks like. Right. So the volunteering roles this year, we have last year we moved away from our standardized roles to a kind of, and this is based on feedback from you guys in the network, that you will find that when people were coming through to you, they hadn't understood the commitment or the role, and therefore you kind of needed to have a wider conversation with them to try and then move them into a role that was more suitable. So we tried these sort of kind of broad approach roles. So last year we had family volunteers or community champions. But the feedback, what we learned from doing that was that actually, one, it moved away from our brand a little bit, and we know that this is a kind of, the best thing we want to get across is the work that we do in the most clearest way we can. But also, actually, again, from talking to you guys, it didn't quite work as we'd hoped, and you were still having to spend a lot of time guiding people, and there was actually less of an understanding of what they potentially had signed up to, and that followed through in that we saw a little dip in how many pledges we got across last year's campaign. So for that reason, we have moved back to our standardized roles. So that's our home visiting volunteer, our group volunteer, and digital volunteer. And this is based on, again, seeing the trends from this audience over the last 4 years of the campaign. We know that people they want the opportunity to bring their skills to support remotely and have some flexibility. So within that, we have also launching a new volunteer role, which will go up on our website as well, but we're trialing it as part of this campaign this year, and that's called the Home Start Hour. And this is to help us be dynamic and respond to those people that aren't quite ready to move straight into a home visiting volunteer role, but it gives them an opportunity, a gateway into becoming a Home Start volunteer that allows us to scale them up into another formal volunteer role, hopefully, as they kind of get to know us a bit more and become part of our community. So there's a description of that Home Start Hour, and I'm going to move in to talk a little bit more about what that role could look like for your Home Start. The point is that you can make it work for you, and also that you can be volunteer centered. So if someone comes to you with a skill, then you can hopefully give them an opportunity to share that skill with your home staff. So here are some ideas of the type of things that people could use that hour for. Perhaps they have a skill in painting and they want to come to one of your groups that's already established and do a little workshop with some kids. Those resources that are created then could be used to create thank you cards. Like there's lots of springboards. You can use these activities to lead into other work. It could be that somebody wants to come to an event and help advocate. You could work with somebody who has an hour to give that could help you schedule a couple of social media posts, or perhaps it's some gardening. There's lots of different skills, but it's about giving us a framing, formalizing a way that we can leverage kind of skills in our communities and create those gateways into volunteering and that sort of scalable volunteering model. The things we'd like you to consider, though, if you are going to be trialing this Home Start Hour, is you do need an application form for anybody who wishes to give some time. And the reason for this is if you get that from the off, it makes it easier for them to transition into other roles afterwards. You're not then having to recontact them and ask for them to complete those things. They should read your policies and they should complete the safeguarding module online. If the time that they're giving is going to be directly in a space with families, you do need somebody supervising who has a full enhanced DBS check. And again, if the time that they're giving or the activity becomes regular, then as with any other volunteer, they will need a DBS check. So just the kind of, if anyone has any thoughts or questions on that, please do share. If anybody's doing anything locally to support flexible roles that sits outside this, we would love to know, because we're obviously on this journey with you. So please do get in touch and share what practice you have in place to support these opportunities. Right, so now we're kind of over to a moment to hear from you guys. As I said, this is a new role that we're launching, and we really want it to work for everybody in the network. So we invite you to tell us the best thing a volunteer could do for you in an hour. This is the Slido. I think Beth is going to put the link in the chat as well in case people don't like using, oh, thank you, Beth, the QR code. So yes, sorry, I'll share my screen again so you can see all the brilliant suggestions that are coming in. Here we go. Helping our groups. Admin, yeah, I can imagine admin would be a really great way of getting an hour of someone's time. Baking, yeah, I love that idea. Tidy, sort out toys, etc. Yeah, those sort of jobs that can be really useful to take away from somebody else in your team so that they have capacity elsewhere. Yeah, offering their skills. Technology, yeah, it might be that you have somebody in your community that's a real tech whiz and there's something that you've been wanting to try out, maybe like Microsoft Forms or something, and somebody could come in for an hour and show you how to use them. Social media, yeah, definitely really lends itself to this kind of dynamic approach. So yeah, these are all really, washing paintbrushes, yeah, why not? Helping out with tidying after groups, absolutely. Because in those moments, talking will happen and you'll probably get someone engaged and hooked into moving into something else I could see happening easily. A fundraising challenge, yeah, totally. That's a really, really wonderful idea and something that we're thinking about as well, and how we can look to do something next year. Okay, great. I'm going to stop sharing that and move back. This is also for those that are rewatching. This Slido is open till Monday, so you can click on the QR code and add in your suggestions, and we will share that image next week when we put on our at-home post. So please do be part of the conversation, even if you are catching up. So thanks so much. Does anyone have anything they want to say at that point? Just checking the chat. Missed anything? Oh, Beth's helping that. Okay, fine. I'm going to keep going. Right, so the volunteer journey this year, it is not changed actually. that much. And it's not too far removed from our normal national volunteering journey. And I think that's a good thing, because we don't necessarily need to treat this audience any differently. We want their journey to be really reflective of what it's like to be a Home Start volunteer. So having this standardized, it works really well, I think. So like previous years, as people pledge, they will be automatically matched with if they fall into a catchment, with their Home Start. So that means for you guys, you need to be checking weekly so you can respond to those pledges as quickly as possible. The On Plinth this year, we will still have the 1 million minutes tagging. However, again, this is 4 years into the campaign. What we can tell you now with confidence is that anybody that comes through Plinth in December is connected to 1 million minutes. So they have either come through the ITV site, or they've seen it and looked us up and come through the standard way, but have selected 1 million minutes as where they've heard from us. So in December, I would treat everybody as if they've come through 1 million minutes with quite some confidence, because that's what we've seen year on year. So once they're matched, then it goes over to the local teams and you chat to them about the role that they've come in on, and discuss with them the options for their training, and supporting them into starting their volunteering with us. And then they get started with a family, and hopefully they then make connections and learn new skills. So this visual has been created and will be in our email journey. It will be in the first email that people see, so that it really gives them confidence in what is expected of them, and kind of what volunteering will look like, and the steps. And we're hoping that that will help, so that when you have your first conversations with them, they kind of do have a grasp of the commitment. Also this year, each role will have their own stewardship journey, which means that they will hear stories about that particular role, so that they can envisage themselves in the role. And again, just to make sure their expectations are clear for when they have those first conversations with the local teams and you guys. Right, we are moving into going to speak to Pamela now, which is great. Thank you for being here. I'm going to stop sharing so I can talk to you. Hi, Pamela.
Hi there, morning.
Good morning. So if you don't mind saying a little bit about your role, your name, and like what your Home Start, that would be really useful just to kick off.
So I'm Pamela, and I'm a family support coordinator here at Home Start Glasgow North Lanarkshire. I've been based out in North Lanarkshire supporting families for over 3 years now, and yeah, just doing the same work that everyone else is doing, constantly getting referrals in from more complex and diverse backgrounds, as things round about us change. A lot more social work referrals than we previously had before, so the support is a lot more complex and intense. But yeah, just responding to the needs of the families around us.
Oh, great, thank you. And I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about kind of last year's 1 million minute campaign for you guys. How
Yeah.
was it for Glasgow?
Yeah, so last year from the 1 million minutes, we had 22 inquiries that came through the system. And from those 22 inquiries, our volunteer coordinator would reach out and make contact with with the members of the public. Three people, it then converted, three people came on board. Two of them were group volunteers and one was family support volunteer.
That's really brilliant. And I would say that like we have to acknowledge that the cohort that comes through 1 million minutes, one, they're a totally new audience often to us at Home Start. So I'd say those conversion rates are really strong. And I'm sure that in some ways you've stayed in contact with the others, so that when their circumstances change, they'll hopefully be able to move into something. But yeah, I think getting 3 volunteers out of that is really positive. So well
Yeah,
done.
And what I would say, Fiona, from the conversation that I've had with our volunteer coordinator, Anna, one of the barriers was when they did make contact with the people who had made inquiries, one of the barriers was possibly the TNA, the training and assessment. So for our volunteers, they come on a 5-week training course, it's 2.5 hours. So when people were making contact, they were quite willing to give an hour of their time, but they just hadn't envisaged the training beforehand. So I think the hour that you're talking about is going to probably be quite transformational, actually. And hopefully in those conversion rates, we'll see a difference in those numbers as well. But yeah, really strong, positive volunteers, good connections made, good kind of relationships started anyway with the ones that kind of didn't convert. The conversations there and the connections have been made.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And yeah, and that's really great to hear how you're thinking that the hour will hopefully help with that. And that's what we're hoping. And I would say as well, I think it's that you mentioned before we got on the call that your coordinator was really quick to pick them up and have those conversations. And I'd say that
Yeah.
that's also been quite key in the kind of yeah, transitioning.
Yeah, I think Anna said when we were chatting that at one point the person had made their query and she was in touch within an hour. So yeah, she was quick at picking that up.
That's really
Strike
sweet.
while the iron's hot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it won't always be possible, obviously, but that is like a must be the what quickest contact, I reckon. Well done. And yeah, just talking about, I'm glad to hear that you said that you think this formalizing this hour will hopefully be of benefit to you guys locally. But I did wonder because we are always learning and trying to adapt and to support everybody so that these sort of national campaigns can kind of be of most value on a local level. So it'd be good to know if there have been any other assets across the campaign that you found useful, or if there's anything that we haven't produced that you think would help you locally.
I think one of the main learning points from us was that the 1 million minutes advertises the staying in touch volunteer, and that was more light touch support, possibly remotely or over the phone. Our families require a bit more in-person or direct support than that. So we had kind of, through discussions, kind of thought that the family support volunteer could be highlighted rather than that light touch support. Maybe the options could be tailored a wee bit more to the local home starts needs or their ask.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. That's definitely something to consider. And so how, yeah, so a role that kind of this sort of family that then gives different pathways that you guys could then say, our home start needs this, this, and this. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'll definitely take that away. Um, so I was hoping to speak to you about a particular volunteer that came through the campaign called Kirsty, and how what her journey was like for 1 minute and kind of how she is doing now with you guys.
Yeah. So Kirsty, she owns a sales and letting agency in Glasgow, in the West End of Glasgow. So she deals with quite high value houses and properties. And she was looking to give something back into the community. She was quite flexible in her time, being the owner of the business. She could do a lot of remote working or sort of diary around it. So she was looking to give something back to the community. And her and her husband had been exploring adoption. So through courses that she'd been on with her social worker, she had been learning a lot about child attachment and she was just really intrigued. So her friend suggested 1 million minutes to her. She then looked it up and seen Homestart, and it was a match made in heaven, to be honest. She is a great volunteer. She came on board. She was so enthusiastic, straight from the get-go. We matched her up with a family who had twin babies and a 3-year-old. At the time, the 3-year-old was non-verbal autistic, and the twins' mum had suspicions that one of the twins had neurodiversities as well, still very, very early. And she didn't get great support from the health visitor. So Kirsty really helped she really helped she helped mum advocate, and she, you know, mum says that she gave her the confidence to kind of believe in her own voice as well. So it kind of got to a point, Kirsty would help her compose emails, or she would support her um, along to appointments and things like that. But you know, mum said that it kind of got to the point where she realised she was having these conversations and she wasn't running it by Kirsty first. Or she wasn't asking Kirsty if it was okay to say those things. So yeah, she was just, it really improved her self-esteem and confidence. No end. Actually, mum talks about volunteering for us herself when all our kids are at school. So that'll be a great full circle moment there when that comes to fruition.
Oh, that's amazing. And is Kirsty still volunteering now?
She's on a rest period at the moment, but yeah, she's still with us. She's
Oh,
resting just now, but she's still here. Yeah, a very valued member of the team. She actually helped with another campaign last year at Christmas time, and she's done a bit of filming for us with the family.
oh, amazing. We could all do with a Kirsty, I think, by the sounds.
Hmm.
But it's so wonderful to hear that that match worked so well for Kirsty, but also for the family. Um,
Hmm.
so brilliant. And Kirsty hadn't heard of us before, I don't think. Did you say?
No, no, she hadn't like that. You know, she kind of had a yearning to give something back, to do something, and just wasn't quite sure how to start that journey, and you know who to do, donate our time to. So it was one of those things that kind of really fell into place. One of our board members also came on board through the 1 million minutes, one of our trustees. So we've been quite lucky at getting his skill set as well. And he's
Yeah,
a really valued member of our board.
that's really interesting. I've heard a few trustees coming through, and I think it's because, um, yeah, I suppose ITV it's just reaching perhaps maybe more of an audience that are still actively working and have skills to offer. So trustees are a really good fit.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is sometimes as well as you pointed out, you talk to people and um, it doesn't quite fit around their work all the time either, like some of the other roles. So it's a great opportunity. Yeah, so that's thank you for sharing that as well about the trustee. It's really interesting, and I'm glad that he's still like a member of the board and now. Um, so I believe he came through a couple of years ago, didn't he? It wasn't the last year's campaign.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. That's good. Right, so I just wondered as well, just for you guys locally, is there anything that you've learned from being part of the campaign that you would that you're going to action again this year um in terms of how you're responding to the pledges as they're coming through?
Yeah, you know, I think just kind of being quick off the mark, as much as is possible in the month of December, as we all know, working at home start, it's a really, really busy month with families. So actioning things as quick as possible while that interest is still fresh in the person's mind. And I think the hour will definitely make a big difference and reaching out to people who, when they find out the commitment involved, you know, in training for family support or group volunteer, and might not be able to make that commitment right there and then, we'll still be able to convert them to help or support in some way.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's really interesting. So kind of the you're kind of acknowledging that what you did worked well and you're going to try build capacity to make sure that you do that again this year, which is great. Sounds perfect. And I did wonder if there's anything across the years that didn't work so well and you've kind of learned that no, this cohort needs something else. I'm just wondering if there was anything that yeah, any lessons you've learned that you would say to anyone that avoid doing this. I don't know. There might not be.
No, just going back to the kind of staying in touch volunteer, and making it clearer to people who are inquiring about volunteering what the ask is.
Yeah,
That's all.
I'm glad to hear you say that because that was definitely something that we took from last year, which is why we've kind of returned to this sort of more focused look at our standard roles and the home start out. So great, Pam. It feels like you're telling me we're on track and what we're approaching, how we're approaching it this year. So that's really cool. I wonder if anyone else has any questions for Pamela. I can't see any hands up, but let's just have a little look. Does anyone have anything that they're thinking of trialing this year and want to ask Pamela or me about it? Or perhaps, oh, can't see anything in the chat either, I don't think.
I'll just add as well that, you know, possibly kind of using case studies to highlight the success of the relationships between volunteer and family might be an idea as well. And kind of breaking the support down into, you know, a 60-minute support could be a walk and talk with a parent, providing emotional support, or kind of 50-50, you know, 30 minutes reading with a child, playing, engaging in that play, while also taking pressure off mum, dad, or caregiver for a bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really nice idea to be really specific about what the hour could look like. Yeah, totally. I do wonder, is anybody has, or if you guys did this locally as well, Pamela, because we have seen where people have run like local recruitment drives in the month of December. Of course, it's Christmas, but alongside the coverage that we're getting on ITV every morning, we have seen that this kind of quite good levels of recruitment in those local drives during that time too. So I don't know if anybody else is planning to do that this year or have tried it last year, or if you guys did in Glasgow. Be keen to.
I would really need to speak to the volunteer coordinators about that for clarity, but I don't think we did. As I said, you know, December in Home Start supporting families, it's such a busy time. So we wouldn't tend to kind of add to the workload
Yeah.
then. But I think, you know, kind of framing it as family impact as well. And I suppose that would be highlighted through case studies as well. But yeah, the impact that the hour could have on the family support, on the emotional well-being of parents, on the development of children. I think that could all be useful.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I can't see any questions, but if anybody does have one, put your hand up. Otherwise, I will thank Pamela and move into the next phase. Let's have a look. Da-da-da. Okay, all right. Well, I'll keep going. Thanks so much for coming along. It was so useful to hear your experience, and I hope this year's campaign also leads to 3 new volunteers. That would be great. Okay, so I would say as well, if anyone does have thinks of any questions afterwards, then please do send them across, and we can always, I'm sure Pamela wouldn't mind answering them retrospectively. So yeah, thanks so much. Right, I'm just going to show you some of the resources that we have for this year's campaign. They kind of have a bit of a new look. Lots of them are Canva templates, as we're seeing a move that lots of people are using Canva, and it gives you a bit more flexibility to adapt into your kind of local context. So we have the 1 minute guide with information, social media copy, and email copy. We have some of the social media graphics here up on the screen and an email banner. In the guide, we will, like we've done on previous years, when there are big moments in the campaign, for instance, if we get featured and one of our volunteer stories is told on ITV, we have
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I think someone needs to go on mute. Sorry. Thank
Yeah.
you. So yes, sorry, we will have in the guide there is specific posts that you can do at those moments because we do see a big spike in pledges when we do get featured on ITV, so you can totally maximize that locally within your local networks too, and we would encourage you to do so. Right, so how can you start preparing now? There's lots of things that you guys can be doing to get ready for when 1 million minutes launches, and things that throughout the campaign, like what Pamela's touched on some of these, which will be so I'll just cover them now. First thing I would say is please do go on to Plinth and check that the email address is correct on your account. Each year we do find that the campaign starts and lots of people realize that the email address might be being sent to somebody who's no longer in post, so they're not getting the pledges as they're coming in. So that would be your first port of call. Definitely go log on to Plinth and check that you have the correct email so that you will actually be seeing the notifications of the pledges as they are coming in. And while you're on there, update your maps. We are seeing from year to year, a real appetite for volunteering remotely. So if you are willing to support that locally, widen your map, because then you are likely to get more pledges coming through. And also for the Home Start Hour as well, we have seen that people for a one-off occasion are willing to travel that bit further. So again, if you widen your maps, you could then get that person in. And once they're in, as we know with our kind of Home Start volunteers, they usually get hooked, and they probably will end up coming back and doing more with you, which would be amazing. Kind of on your inbox, we have seen that if you can put in an automated reply across the month of December that just acknowledges volunteers that may have come through 1 million minutes, it's just a nice touch to keep people engaged so that they know as well that they've come into the right place. And actually, an extension on that is if on your volunteering page on your website, you can add in a line for December that acknowledges the 1 million minute pledges of volunteers that might be coming through. Again, if they go and look you up locally, it means that they'll see that you are part of the campaign and that they're in the right place again, and just give them confidence that you are part of it and you will get back to them. Training. As Pamela pointed out, we are very aware that December is a massive month for all home starts, and you're all working incredibly hard to support families. So you're not going to be running training in December. That's not realistic for most people's capacity. But if you have some training scheduled so that you can give a date to this cohort as they come in, as they are kind of a new audience, and you know it takes that little bit more to keep them engaged, that would be really advised, and probably would mean that somebody will stick with you while they're waiting to start training, particularly if they come in the first week of the campaign but there's no training till January. But at least if you've told them the date, they have that in mind. Also, if you can, if you're not already, because lots of you are, offer online modules. People could get started in the interim before the full prep course starts. They could do a couple of modules on the learning platform, which keeps them engaged and also allows you to offer kind of hybrid learning models. This is a great opportunity to trial practice that perhaps you're not offering standardly to everybody because it's a new cohort. So yeah, do use it as an opportunity. If you have any questions on what a hybrid model looks like, then please get in touch with us. We can support you with that. And there's lots of colleagues in the network who are doing it, so they would be able to kind of share their practice and how they are kind of approaching it in their home start. Do try and take on all pledges. As we kind of touched on, the people that come through 1 million minutes are not necessarily the people that we're reaching in our local recruitment drives. So that's really interesting, and it is an opportunity and a challenge, as we have spoken about. But where possible, do try and speak to all pledges and see if you can support them into some volunteering role. It is likely that someone will select home visiting, and when they come through, perhaps it's not the right fit for them. But hopefully, if you can offer them something else, such as the Home Start Hour as a gateway in, then hopefully you can keep them engaged in some way, and then they can scale up and end up in a home visiting role when it's suitable for them. And so thinking of that as well, for those that it's absolutely not the right time for them, or if they've responded in a emotive way, but when they land with you, it's just not practically possible. Do try to stay in touch with them. Do keep them as part of your community. If you have a newsletter, add them to it, add them to a mailing list. They could come to an event in a year's time or something. It's kind of that you want to grow your community, and that can look and feel in lots of different shapes. Ideally, we want formal volunteers, but also it's really valuable to have people who know about your work, can talk about your work, can be advocates, and probably come back to you when it's suitable for them. Local spotlights, as I touched on, we have seen where people run local recruitment drives. That's throughout December, but also actually in those first weeks of January, because this is, we've been there's a big energy that's still around in January after such a big campaign. So doing a local recruitment drive then can also see that you get quite a lot of interest. And throughout the month, do try use your local media outlets to shout about your work and champion your volunteer voices, because we will be, we're raising awareness, and therefore you can talk about your work in your local networks, and it should hopefully amplify that message and be interesting. We are putting in the pack PR statements, so you have a kind of framework to send out to people if you do want to try tap into those opportunities throughout December. I would recommend it. Right, that's it from me really. It has been a whistle-stop tour today, but thank you for coming along. I hope it's been useful. I will just flag that this recording today will go up next week, but we will also have a space on At Home that will hold all of the resources, all of the narrative around the campaign, and alongside that I will put up a kind of framework for the Home Start Hour for you guys to use locally as well. Yeah, does anyone have any questions at this point for me? Any thoughts? Anything that you'd like support with? Then would love to hear from you. Okay, I'm going to take that as I've run through everything and you're feeling confident and clear on it. But as I said, look, this is not the only opportunity to talk to us. The volunteering team is always here. If you want to get in touch and put in 5 minutes to talk about how you want to approach 1 million minutes this year, then please do. Our door is always open. It's always a highlight of our week talking to you guys, to be honest. So yeah, so thank you so much. I've been so busy that everybody's getting 5 minutes back. So thanks everyone. It's been great to see you all today, and yeah, hopefully speak to you all soon.